Students, last time we were discussing the role of microbes in human welfare, and we have discussed how they play an important role in the various activities, how they are useful to the human welfare. We have discussed how they play an important role in the industries. We have also studied how they are useful in producing the antibiotics, how they are useful in producing in the food production processing mainly at homes, how they play an important role in the sewage treatment plants. Today we are going to discuss three more aspects of these microbes, how they play an important role in the human welfare. Of these, the first one is that how the microbes they play an important role in the energy production. The energy which has been produced by the action of the microbes, that is the biogas. Now let us first discuss what do we mean by the biogas. Biogas is the energy, it is the gas which is produced by the action of the microbes on the biomass, and it is considered as one of the solution to the energy crisis, mostly in the rural areas. Regarding the composition of this biogas, we will see that this biogas, it is a mixture of various, is a combination of various gases. The various gases which are present in this biogas are methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen. Of these various gases, the major portion of the gas that is present in the biogas, that is the methane, it occupies about 50 to 70% of the total volume. Now, third step, John Mr. Pandit, that is the microbes involved. The microbes that play an important role in the formation of this biogas are known as the methanogens. And the two important microbes that play an important role in the production of the biogas are methanobacterium and methanococcus. These bacteria, these microbes, they play an important role in the what we saw as the digestion. Rather, we can see they play an important role in the anaerobic digestion of the wastes, that is the biological waste, that is the biomass. These are simply the obligatory microbes, these are simply the obligatory microorganisms which act obligatory anaerobic, rather these are the obligatory anaerobic microorganisms which act anaerobically on the dung, which is uh, that dung, that is the organic matter, and converts that dung or organic matter into the gas. Now we will see that the dung, it is abundantly present in the rural area. So this biogas, it plays an important role in solving the energy crisis which is present in our rural area. These methogens, or we see that this biogas, it can also be found in the compound. Yeah, these methanogens, they can also be found in the compound stomach of the cud chewing animals. They are also found in the crop plants, in the stagnant water of the crop plants, or muddy water or stagnant water of the crop plant. They can also be found in the activated sewage, rather that is the activated sludge sewage treatment plants. Regarding the biogas plant, how it functions, this biogas plant, it is a huge tank, and this in this huge tank, what we will see, the slurry of this biomass along with the water is poured into it. Then by the action of these microbes, by the action of the anaerobic microorganisms, we will see that this organic matter, it gets converted into the gas, and then it is supplied through the pipes to the consumers. In order to have the continuous supply of the gas, the biomass is continuously poured into this tank. Sometimes we will see the human excreta is also poured into it. Agricultural wastes, they are also poured into it. So these biogas plants, they are mostly found in the rural areas. The technique of the production of this biogas was first of all introduced by IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, and Khadi and village communities which are found in India, who in collaboration, which have introduced the technique of this biogas plants in India. Now, the advantages of this biogas. Number first, it is a good fuel. It has got a very high calorific value and it can be used as a fuel in rural areas. It can be used for what we call as cooking. It can be used to run the vehicles. Number third, agar hum baat kare, it is a eco-friendly. That means it produces less pollution. Second one, that is the microbes as an biological control. Let us first go to this, what we mean by the definition. Biological control simply means that these are the agents, these are the organisms which are used for controlling the harmful pesticides which damage our crops. Now, why there is the need of the biological agents? अगर हम बात करेंगे इंडिया की, इंडिया इज एन एग्रीकल्चर कंट्री. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द पीपल दे आर एंगेज्ड इन द एग्रीकल्चर वर्क. Secondly, the population of the India is continuously increasing day by day. In order to have the continuous supply of the food to our increasing population, what we have to do, we have to increase our productivity, we have to increase our crop yield. For increasing the crop yield, what we will do, we make the use of certain substances, chemical compounds which are known as the fertilizers, which enhance, which increase the production rate, so that we have got the high yield for our ever increasing population. But these chemical substances or these fertilizers, they are being used from a long period of time, but the use of these fertilizers have a negative effect on our environment. First one, they play an important role in what we will see in changing, in polluting our environment. In order to overcome those problems, that is to overcome the side effects, to overcome the negative effects of the fertilizers, we are now making the use of these biological agents so that they can be used to increase the productivity of our crop fields. Now, the various biological agents which are used as a biological control, they can be categorized into different categories. That is the bioherbicide, that is the bioinsecticide, that is the bacilloviruses. Then we have got some bacteria which are also used as a biological control. Now, what are the bioherbicides? These are the organisms which are used to control the weeds, which are used to control the unwanted plants which grow in our crop field. And the technique of this bioherbicide was first of all introduced in the year 1961, where we will see by using the fungi Phytophthora palmivora, and this has been used to control the milkweed virus in the citrus orchards. Now, the latest technique which we are going to use, that is the transgenic crop plants, where we will see that the genes are being introduced into the crops through genetic engineering, so that they may be resistant to these what we call as these biocontrol agents. Then we have got the bioinsecticides. Bioinsecticides are those agents which can be used to kill or to minimize the population of these insects which are going to damage our crops. The different insects which are being used to control these insects are ladybird beetle, which can be used to control the aphids, and these aphids they damage our crops, mostly the mustard crops. Then we have got second one, that is the dragonfly, and it is being used to control the population of the mosquitoes, and it is somewhat called as the mosquito hawk. There are baculoviruses. These are the viruses which are being used to control the viruses which are going to damage our crops. We were discussing the bioinsecticides. Bioinsecticides are the biological agents which are used to control, which are used to minimize the use of these insects. After that, there is the bacillovirus. Bacillovirus are those biological control which are used to minimize the effect of the viruses which are going to damage our what we call as the crops. The most important, that is the baculovirus, is the nucleopolyhedroviruses. And this nucleopolyhedroviruses जो है, it is very much specific in these nucleopolyhedroviruses. They play an important, they are what we see, they are the species specific in nature, and they have got a narrow spectrum. That means they do not have any negative effect on, and do not have this negative effect on the other organisms, or we can say those unwanted organisms also. Now, there are some bacteria which also play an important role as a biological control. For example, we have got this bacteria, that is the Bacillus thuringiensis. It is the highly potent bacteria which has got the tendency to harm the the pests which are going to damage our crops. This bacteria, it produces a toxin that is called as the thyroxine, and this toxin, when it has been injected, when it has been taken by the larva of many insects, it inhibits the ion transport in the midgut, and thus it kills those larvae, thereby saving our crop from the attack of the insects. Now, after this, we have got the concept of the IPM. What do you mean by the IPM? It is integrated pest management, and in this integrated pest management, we have to make the use of such pests which can be not too much harmful, but we may be in a position to control those harmful substances, to control the harmful substances which are going to damage our crops, and thus results in the crop yield. There are various methods which are being recommended for the IPM, and the first one is that some pests or few pests, they may be destroyed by the starvation method, that we have to supply the food to those pests. Second one, we have to make the use of some cultural control methods. We have to follow those cultural control methods, we have to follow, and we have to make the use of excessive synthetic. We have to minimize the use of synthetic pesticides. It should be minimized. Third हम कहेंगे, that is the method, that is the crop rotation and the proper sanitation practices. They ought to be followed in order to avoid the plant infestation. And the last one जो हम देखेंगे, that is the biological control method should be followed, and use of chemical pesticides जो हम कहेंगे, that should be minimized. Now, after this, the third one, that is the biofertilizers. Now, what are the biofertilizers that we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss this biofertilizer. First, let us we are going to, what does the biofertilizer mean? Biofertilizers are the microorganisms that add to the nutrient value of our soil, and it includes the bacteria, it includes the fungi, it includes the algae, or some of the microorganisms which help us in improving the quality, which help us in improving the fertility of the soil. Now, these biofertilizers, they have been classified into various categories. Number first, we have got the free living nitrogen fixing bacteria, for example Azotobacter. We have got the free living nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, for example Anabaena, for example Nostoc. We have got loose association of nitrogen fixing bacteria, for example Azospirillum. We have got the symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria, for example Rhizobium. Now, there are how do these microorganisms, how they play and how they can be used as a biofertilizer. First, let us discuss about this, which is most well known, that is this Rhizobium. This Rhizobium, it forms root nodules with the leguminous plants this rhizobium, it forms the root nodules with the leguminous plants and fixes the atmospheric nitrogen and then converts it into the organic form. It allows, what we will see, it also has no negative effect on the soil, and it simply improves the quality and the fertility of the soil. Second one जो हम ज़्यादातर इस्तेमाल करते हैं, that is this azotobacter. It is the free living nitrogen fixing bacteria. What we will see, this bacteria, it not only improves but it also supplies certain antibiotics and growth substances to the soil. Then we have got the mycorrhiza. It is a symbiotic association with the fungi and the roots of some higher plants. They play an important role in building up the what we call as the soil together, in binding up the soil together. Second one, and it improves the activity of the microbes. It also helps the plant to survive under various environmental stresses. Now there are some importance of these biofertilizers. Number first, they are the eco-friendly. That means they do not pollute our environment, as we will see regarding the chemical fertilizers. Number second, they improve the soil quality and thereby necessary plant and thus increasing the plant production. Number third, they produce growth promoting substances in the soil. They, or we can say, they can be used in also in the semi-arid area. That is why there is the scarcity of rainfall. That is all for today. Thank you, beta.